Hello engineers, and welcome back to another episode of Automated, a factory puzzle game where we're trying to get 5 stars on every level. We're currently up to World 4, Level 8, a lens Core A Quantum Solstice. Okay, let's get into it. There's only 2 people on the leaderboard. Guys, if you haven't checked out this game, do check it out. It is really fun. It's very difficult, but it's really fun. Alright, not one of these bright order maps. Fantastic. We've got so many resources and only 2 different areas, which is great. Oh man, is it big. This is gonna be a long journey. Look how many we've been given, like every single material in the world. What are we trying to make? 40 of these lens cores in 2 minutes 10, so basically 60 per minute. A minute 45. 60 per minute is gonna be tough, because that means we only have 45 seconds for a machine to wear up, which means we need really tight belts. We've got 5500 power to play with. Let's have a look at what is required to actually make this thing. Ultimately, it's just made in an advanced cutter, but it's made from 120 of these and 30 of these. Oh, that's an awkward number. No, it's made of 60 of these, so we need to double this too. So there are so many alternate recipes for every single component of this. And what we need to make, if we're targeting just one belt of this, we need 60 of this, which means we need to overclock this one. So if you want to overclock this one, we're going to need 60 of this, which is what that produces. And we're going to need 60 of this superluminal relay core, which is what this produces. So downstream, we only need to make 1 of each up to there. Similarly on this side, because we need 2 of this, we need to double everything that comes out of here. So we need to double that, and double that. So this side looks harder to produce. I'm going to start with here. Everything here looks like it has 2-3 different ways to deal with it, but it doesn't look like anything shares anything. So there's no like super obvious way to start. I'm going to go with this liquid stuff because this looks really terrible. Alternatively, we can just do this thing, but that requires so many welders. But hey, it might be easier if we just press the 60 diamonds. And then we need 120 for this. Each welder overclocked, so 4 overclocked welders, but all we need to do is put this stuff in there. That's just 1 overclocked press and then directly chromium crystal in there. Well, the only other use for chromium crystals up here, and since it's going into a dissolution, or since it's becoming a liquid, we only ever need 60 of that, leaving us with 300 chromium crystal. Is that even enough for this process? That will basically inform whether we can do this or not. I believe it is 15 to 15. All right, let's try this. See what it looks like. So we need to make 120 of this photonic memory core, which we needed to do it in a welder, which makes 15. Welders are pretty massive, but probably not as massive as a chemical infuser, 3 and 4 dissolution chambers just to make this liquid. Unless this liquid is just freely given to us. We are given so many things. We should probably carefully observe what liquids have been given to us. All I see is literally water and oil and heavy water. So no, they haven't given us any advanced liquids to make anything easy. All right, let's get to it then. We need 4 of these. Each one of these will take very little amounts of this, but ultimately we're going to need to push 120 chromium crystals in to get 120 out. So we'll put a splitter here and then a splitter here. And then if we just push a splitter here, that gets that in and out. Then we need to get the rest of the materials in and out. So the other end of the equation is a press. So the diamond is right here. I think it is used for other stuff. So it is being furnaced there. It's being pressed here again. And then it's being furnaced here again. So hopefully there's enough diamond to make this. But for the 120 that we need outputted here, I believe we only need 34 times 240. So 1 overclocked 1. So we're only using up 120 of the diamond here. So I'm just going to put a splitter here just to mark that we're using the diamond. And theoretically, we only need 120 into a press. That gets our 120, but we should be able to overclock this to get the 240 that we need. Now I'm tempted to put this just like in the middle here somewhere. Let's just put something like this for now, and then let's split all this in. If you're enjoying the video and you want to support Data Engineer Plays, don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, feel free to share them in the comment section. So once it comes out of there, that's where it needs to be fast. But once it's split once into these things, we're actually all good. Now this belt also needs to be split multiple times. So let's get the first split into here. There's your 15. Our next split needs to go into here. And then our third split needs to be into there. So I put my shortest possible elevator like this. There's 2 of them done, and then we need another elevator to go over here. And that's all of it done. In theory, I should be able to overclock this. Now that's this system to make the 120 of this. Can we tighten the form factor a little bit? Just to get the belting a little bit tighter. Like that. So that still works. Oops, that's fine. This is a pretty tight form factor. Remember, the alternative is all of this crystal, all of this stuff. So I'm pretty sure, given each chemical infuser is like this big, and we're not using this liquid for anything else, and it requiring all of these dissolution chambers, and then chemical infusers and a distillation column. I think this is smaller. I don't know. It might not be. Like, we might have to change it. But at the end of the day, this thing goes into a store packer, which is also massive. So who knows what's smaller? This could be the smaller alternative. But either way, that's one of our materials down. Let's work on the next one. So this is 120. Wait, did we need this at this volume? Because, oh no, yeah, because it uses 120 to make the final product, and we need to double this. So we need 120 of our refined uranium rod. We've picked the store packing method, so we can just overclock it to 120. So it's going to need 240 uranium, and there's no alternative but to make this uranium suspension. So we have to make this, and it all starts with water. So I need water and uranium, basically. Now I know my uranium is over here. So water and uranium can make this whole thing. So it would be easier to transport water. So I'm going to put down my liquid quantum transporter over here. Like this. And then we'll just transport our water. Chuck that on a network. Copy that. Go over to the other side. And near one of my uranium nodes, I'm going to do all of this process. The purple port will output water. If I flip this the right way, then our purple port will output water. Now the water needs to go through a bunch of processes. I can put this anywhere. So let's just put the bunch of processes down. It's a biofluxer, followed by a chemical infuser, followed by a biofluxer, followed by a chemical infuser. So it's this long chain of stuff. Now, where's the best place to put this long chain of stuff? We want the output to go into a store packing thing near the uranium. Just seeing what parts fit together nicely. Like that fits nicely all the way in the corner, kind of out of the way of everything. I'm going to take this over to the other side. And we're going to plug the water in first. Then we'll plug the hydrogen into here. That gets our ionized hydrogen and plasma arc energy out here. Then finally, one of these needs to go over here. We can actually jump the gap over here and plug that plasma arc energy here. And in theory, a uranium can still come out here. Now that goes into the store packer. Let's just put the store packer here for now. I mean, I could put the store packer like here. If I put it here, I can bring the uranium around like that. I can put this thing on this side, I guess. Just trying to find the most efficient positioning for this stuff. What if I put it like this? And that. That way my input can go in here. And my output can go right here. Nope, doesn't like that. Can do that though. Now we can overclock this, and that gets our 20. Wait, why do I need to overclock this? I'm making a liquid. I don't even need to overclock this, I just need my 60 uranium, and then we can make our uranium solution in a dissolution chamber. Like that. I do need to overclock it so that I can make enough uranium suspension. And that's it. I fit this quite nicely in the corner. The uranium suspension then needs to mix with more uranium. Okay, so I see why this won't work. Well, it still works. We just need to move it all one tile out. Like that. That can come out. Connect that again. Now we've got our uranium suspension and our uranium here. That all needs to go into a store packer. Like that. That's pretty much the closest it can go. And that's nice and conveniently over here. Like that. That's making the 60, but we want it to be 120. So we need to upgrade this belt. No. That's not enough uranium. Because we need 360 uranium. That's just annoying. There's 300 uranium here and 300 uranium here. So I've just undone what I've done before, and then we can just put our store packer on this side for now. And just a temporary placeholder thing like this. Now we can overclock it, and that gets our 120, and that's our second material down. Our third material is this astral reinforced panel. So we're choosing this recipe for it. The alternate recipe uses astrolite, but this uses less wood, I think. It all goes into a manufacturer. Let's see where the wood is. I see wood. Is that wood? That's not wood. What is that? Biomass. Did they change the icon of the biomass? Because it did not look like that before. I don't even know what biomass is used for. So the wood is over here and we've got tons of it. This recipe requires aluminum and copper and titanium. So aluminum's here, copper is here. Where is titanium? There's aluminum. Wait, no, that's salt. There's titanium here. Is there copper and aluminum on this side? There's not. So we either need to transport the titanium, and we need quite a bit of the titanium too, because we need to double this, which means we need to manufacture this at double, which means we need 240 titanium. And the other thing we need is this quartz. Where is the quartz? The quartz is here. Titanium is here. Oh, that's just annoying. And the wood and the thing is on the other side. So we need to transport 2 of the materials across. But the final material that we're making is going to be made here. So I'm more tempted to bring the wood and the copper across. So let's put our quantum transporter in. We're going to just switch this one onto the cyan network apparently. And we're just going to change everything to input. Now we're going to bring this. How much do we need? We need 60, 60, 120. So we don't need that much copper. Then we're going to bring this across as well. And we only need 120 wood, I'm seeing. No, we need 240 wood. Back on this side of the world, we need to furnace this into this in 2 furnaces because we need 120. So let me take this and just check if this opal is used anywhere else. It is not. So we can do the furnacing right here. Overclock these. And that gets our 120. Next, we need to bring the wood and the aluminum. Oh, the aluminum we need to bring as well. Oh man. The aluminum is here. So let's bring aluminum in as well. The wood and the aluminum go here to make this. Oh, sorry, not the wood. The aluminum and the copper go here to make this. So I'm just going to put my first quantum teleporter here. And then we're going to make this process. Anywhere for now. I'm going to set everything to output. We're going to get a splitter here. And we're going to tell the splitter that I need a press and a furnace. Like this. If I just do that, we can put our press and our furnace here. Copper goes through the press. So that's this red one. And through the green one, we need aluminum. That's our 60-60, but they both need overclocking. There's our 120-120. And then that just gets mixed with 240 of this in a manufacturer. Is this used anywhere else? Doesn't look like it. So what if I just put my manufacturer right on this thing? That seems a bit silly, doesn't it? Nah, don't like that. Put that there, and we'll just belt that in. Overclock the manufacturer, upgrade this belt, and just like that, we have our 120 of this. We need to mix that 120 of that with the thing over here and the wood, or astrolite. Astrolite is here, and we have a lot of it. So we don't have to transport the wood if we don't want to. A quick gander shows astrolite is not used anywhere else. So let's save our quantum transporter and we'll do astrolite instead. Two cutters will get us the 240 that we need. So this thing is over here. We would like to bring it down this way. Can I go around the back? We'll bring everything over here into this manufacturer. Upgrade this belt. Bring that over. Bring this over. There's our 60. We should be able to overclock that to 120. So we've made that. We've made this, and we've made this, and they're all on the same island, which is great. And that just needs to go into a dissolution chamber. So I'm going to put my dissolution chamber, say here, and we'll put that in here. We'll bring this up like that. Now we'll just bring a lift over for now. This is kind of the center point area, and then we'll bring this down. Just had to redo this pipe to allow this belt to come across, and that should get our dissolution chamber item. A dissolution chamber, but no liquid required. Interesting. So that gets our 120 of the void glass focusing array, and that goes straight into an advanced cutter at 120. So that's half our item done. Now we've got to work on the other half, the fractal processing prism. That side is a little bit more difficult. So we've done the entire bottom half of this. Let's focus up on the top half. Let me just collapse this away. Now the final welder needs to be overclocked to make the 60 that we need. So we need to double up on what we need. So let's start with this bottom thing first. That's going to need a lot of copper, diamond, and diamond. Okay. So we're going to need to bring more copper over. Either that, or we can probably better we bring the processed copper over. And where is iridium? Iridium is here. So yeah, better we bring the processed copper over, because I think that stuff is used elsewhere too. Up here with the sapphire. So how much do we need? 120 for this process gets us 120 of this. 120 of this gets us 120 of this. 120 of this will get us 60 of this. Oh, that's confusing. So we just need 120 of this. Then on this side, we need 30 of this. Well, we need 60 of this to double that. To make 60 of that, we need 60 of this. To make 60 of this, we need 120 of this. To make 120 of this, we need 120 here. So we need 240. So I'm going to put in my advanced cutter setup as usual. Alright, there's our overclocked advanced cutters, but we're not getting enough item. We need to limit this output to what we need, which is 120, right? Because I had a normal belt going. And still that's not enough item. Am I going crazy? So to make 60, we need 120. To make 240, we would need 480. That's correct. So why is this a struggle? I've made the same mistake that I've made many times, which it's not the output's problem, it's the belt's problem. Let me refactor this a little bit better. There we go. That solved that problem. So it's the belt problem. You can't put a 240 belt then split it further, because each one of these does require 240. So in that case, now we are getting the 120, 120, and we're splitting off a belt of 120 along this side. We still have plenty of copper to work with. So that should get everything going. So we've got our 120, 240 in here for later use, but we only need 120 of it to mix with 120 sapphire in a welder. So let's go back to our other platform over here, and let's see where the sapphire is. Have I made a horrible mistake and the sapphire is actually on this platform? Yes, the sapphire is on this platform. Okay. Well, that makes it a little bit more annoying, because we still need to deliver this to the other side. Hold on. Do we need to deliver this to the other side? No, this is the same process. So we just need to deliver sapphire conduits. 2 of them specifically. So let's just bring this over here then. And we need 240 sapphire inside a welder. Overclock that. That gets our 120. How many do we need for this? 60 makes... We need 60 to make 30. Do we need double this? This makes 60. We need one of these. So we need 60 of this. So we need 120 just to make that. That's not good. Doesn't 120 use 120 of this? Then don't we need more up here? And we need more down here. We might need another set of this copper thing at some point. So yeah, 120 makes the 120 we need here. And then we need the iridium, which needs half of it to go into here. Oh, that's annoying. Maybe we should just split these then. Since we only need 120 to go in here, we'll just do that. Then this one can just go around the back and directly into here. And then we'll pump this in here. That's 120. And that needs to go in and mix with iridium. 120 with 60 iridium will make 120 of this, which should be all we need. On our other island, our iridium's over here. I'm just gonna put another quantum thing over here. And that goes into a manufacturer of all things. Like that. And we'll set the purple output to be the structural cables. And that will make our 120. 120 is actually enough to go into here. Let's make this side of things, which is a furnace diamond with titanium. Aren't we already making titanium lattice? What are we making over here? Oh god, diamond and titanium is going to be a pain as well. So the diamond is down here. We need to furnace it into this. So let's chuck a furnace somewhere. And then we need to bring it up. So I'm just going to temporarily bring up the diamond somewhere central. And I'm going to bring down the titanium. So I'm just going to bring the titanium down around here somewhere. I don't know where this is going to go. But it needs to go into a welder. I'm going to bring it along here. And then we'll bring it down into a welder. Doesn't really matter where I put stuff because all of this will need to be refactored once I know what I'm doing. So that makes our 120, which is what we need. And we've got our 120 here, which is what we need. And that both needs to go into another welder. Like this. To make 60, but we need to overclock that to 120. So there's our 120. And the other half of this is more diamond pressed into photonic diamond layers. So if we belt it across like this, we've got more photonic diamond layers over here, but we don't need to overclock this machine because we only need, so we've got the 120 coming out here and we only need 60 of this. And over here, we're only delivering 30 of this. So we can technically share a belt. Like this. And then we want to limit this to the 60 that we want, so we can do this in a rank 1 belt. So if I limit my red output to 30, that'll only give 60. The 60 and the 30 here will merge. And then this belt will carry both the diamonds. Since it's following the same path, we can save some space. That just means over at some point we need to split this. And then on the green, for example, we need to filter only the crystallized diamond. And then on the red, we've got our 60 photonic thing that we need. The 60 and the 120 will merge in an advanced press. So I'm just going to bring it down this way. Now I'm going to do my split here. And that should give me my 60 that I need. We only need 30 for the process, but we want to overclock this final welder. So that's one thing down. Our first lattice encoded memory bank is done. Now we can work on the next one. I'm just going to collapse this for now to make everything easier to see. Our next thing is pretty massive as well, the quantum signal relay, which we need to make this. So we've got our 60 of this and our 60 of this. So to make the 60 of this, we need all of this crap. The biggest one is this thing. So if we can make this big thing, then we should be sweet. The first part of this is made of wood, iron, and stone to make reinforced concrete with osmium. Where is osmium? Osmium is here, but if we can get the reinforced concrete in, I think all these base materials are on our first island. Just seeing the other method of making this looks a lot more complicated. We would need another batch of this stuff. I like this method of making it, but we've got wood, iron, and stone, right? Wood, iron, and no stone. Oh lord. Did they really not give us stone on this map? Stone is here, which is fine. That just means we can quantum transport it. We want to bring it all over here eventually, but we don't want to do everything over here. Otherwise, we have to bring the wood and the iron, which is not a big problem. We can technically bring these two together. So we can bring this around the back. Now we can bring wood and iron in. At what volume do we need this stuff? 60 to 60 to 60 to make 60 of this, which makes 60 of this, which makes 60 of this, which makes 60 of this. So we don't need much wood and iron, we just need a little bit for now. So what if we did something like this and this? I want to rate limit it so that I know. Out the green, we only want, say, 120 of the wood. And out the green, we only want 120 of this. That way we can now merge these two. And then upgrade this. And then bring that in. On our other map, now we have our wood and our iron right here. We can put that into a manufacturer. Like that. We can set one of these to be wood. And one of these to be iron. And then just put in the stone. Oh, we need to process this stuff, sorry. I'm going crazy. The stone just needs to be cut. Put the cutter over here. And then both of these need to be furnaced. Like that. Now we're not getting enough this. So we can overclock the cutter to get the 120 that we need. That makes our 60. That's all we need. We only need 60. And that needs to be mixed with this inside an advanced press. Tempted to move this closer to this side. Loop this around the back. That won't quite work. We need to move this out one tile. Move this over this side. And then just bring a belt. Will that let me do it? Will it just bring randomly wood and iron out here? It's stuck. So it doesn't let me do that. So I will have to drag two separate belts. Like this. And like this. Or we can move this thing later. But that makes the 60 that we need. And we need to mix it with that in an advanced press. So let's put my advanced press there. And then we just get that in. Just a lot of belt work, this thing. And we'll get that into there. That makes the 60 that we need. Our next component requires more iron into a welder with wood. Now we can do this part on the other side because we can just bring this final product in. And then we need to do the plastic thing. I'm not worried about this. What about the plastic thing? Salt water. Is this the last liquid that I need? I think so. No, I need a dissolution chamber, the chromium crystal. So we're bringing the water over here somewhere. That's the water. Where's my salt? Salt is here. So we can make salt water biofluxer process up here. That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to set that up. So that's this liquid chloride that we need. That needs to go with plastic. Where is our plastic? Our plastic is all the way down here. So I might as well teleport this over. You can borrow this one. We'll refactor all of these pipes when it makes sense to. But for now, we'll just input it into here. And if we take a copy of this and take it over to our plastic, which is all the way down there, we should be able to put that into a dissolution chamber. If I flip this the right way, bring it down, filter my purple to get liquid chloride out, then just overclock this. That should make all the plastic molds that we need for this process, the 120. And now we need to go back onto our other map and make the steel sheets that we need, which just requires us to do this sort of stuff, but we'll just figure out where we can do that. I'm just going to refactor some of my belts to create some space. Alright, so I've put these belts out of the way, so we've got space now. We need to furnace the coal, something like this, and then we just need to weld the iron. What's the alternative for this? An advanced welder makes a lot, but we don't need a lot. Let's do something like that. And that gets out this, and then we need to put it into a cutter to get our 120. Our 120 and this 120 could probably mix pretty well. I might just jump this belt. And then just bring it in like this. And if we just upgrade this, theoretically we should get everything we need in here. Now, where does this merge together? Because all that needs to go into a manufacturer now. Something is short now. What are we not getting enough of? I'm not getting enough of this. Because we're not getting enough copper. What? When did this happen? Let me quickly fix this. I think I just need to upgrade this part. There we go. I'm worried about all these merging because of the merging bug, but hopefully that'll be fine. Back to the task at hand. We need to merge all of this crap together. So one of them is here. One of them comes out of the quantum thingy. And one of them is all the way down here. So here's my center point. I'm going to put my manufacturer, say like here. Put one here. Put a lift here. And then my quantum output thing is run out of space. Let me refactor this part. Okay, I refactored this so that we can get an extra belt out here. So now our purple port is set to the steel sheets that we need. And we should be able to run this straight in here. Now we just need to run the plastic in, which we can do around the back. Gonna need to hop something at some point. Like that. And that gets our 60. And we need 60 to make 60 of this, and we need 60 of this to make 60 of this. And we're still not sure whether this this timing's gonna work, but we're gonna have to optimize later. So we've created this thing now. Quantum signal relay. We've got 2 more bits to create. This one requires some aluminum stuff, so we're probably gonna need to transport the aluminum coating in here somehow. because this mixes with the diamond. My diamond looking a little bit taxed, but we can do something like this. And then we've got another belt of diamond, but the aluminum is on the other side of the map. So we need 120 of these aluminum. So we can use the bromine solution, or we can overclock 2 welders, which seems a little bit easier to do because I've got space on the other side of the map. But do I have enough this? So to make 120, we need 4 times 120, which is 480. We don't have enough aluminum, forcing us to do this, but the bromine's on the other side of the map. Unless we bring the salt water over here and make bromine here as well. Oh, that's disgusting. Let's come back to that. Let's do this one first. Ether quartz. Where is ether quartz? Well, we're already making the 120 we need for this. Dissolving the chromium crystal and the ether quartz. That's this chromium crystal in a dissolution chamber. We only need 60, that's not a problem. But where's the ether quartz? It's over here. So instead of transporting the 120 and the ether quartz, we can just transport this final material, pulse energy matrix. All right, that sounds good. So I'm gonna go to my other side of the map. We're gonna go over here and we're gonna dissolution chamber this. So we need to split this. And then I think I can fit my dissolution chamber like here. That means this needs to be a little bit higher. Because then I can get this liquid into the quantum teleporter over here. With a short pipe. Like this. And with that teleported out, we should be able to copy this. Go to this side of the map and pop this down somewhere. And that will get us this liquid out. This needs to mix with this, but that comes from here. So to centralize this for speed, we would want to put this like, say, here for now. Do we need this heavy water anywhere? Doesn't look like it. So that goes into a dissolution chamber with the ether quartz. Oh, a lot of extra belts. Let me get rid of this one and we'll clean this up a little bit. Let me clean up this lift completely. Like this. That should still be good. Now we need to lift this and this over to this side. That's kind of hard to lift because it's in a corner. Just trying to find a better place to do this. Because ultimately then we need to put this into here somehow. And do we even have another thing to put this into? We can mix it with this aluminum. If I put it here, can this get out? No. Can this get out? That can get out. So I did that. And then we lifted this up. Like that. That gets that out. And then I need to bring this back down across here somewhere. And then mix it in with this ether quartz in a dissolution chamber. This seems highly inefficient. I'm gonna move this over here. to give myself a little bit of room to work over here. Because it seems silly to then bring this back down. So this all should still work. Because I want my dissolution chamber here at the end of the day. That can go straight in. This can mix with this. Let's upgrade this just to be safe. This red one should output at 120. And that's 120. That should merge into 240. Why is this complaining? I don't know why that's complaining. Because everything here is fine. 120, 120 mixes into 240, goes into our quantum transporter. This thing mixes with this thing, goes into our quantum transporter. Now I theoretically should just need to bring the ether quartz over, like that. And now we need to just bring our liquid in. Can save on one of these, like that. And the purple should output the, not liquid chloride, but the chromium suspension. There's our 30. But we did all this to overclock this to that, which means this needs to be upgraded. And that gets our 60 and our 60 in there. And that should all be good. So that's that one done. At 60, it's in the box. So leaving us this last thing, which we discovered there's not enough aluminum to do the simple way. So we're going to have to do one overclock dissolution chamber to make the 120 we need to make the 60 of this. And we're running out of stuff to bring. So we're bringing some aluminum here, 120 worth. Which leaves us 300 aluminum. Is that enough to make this? So to make 120, we need 120, 240. So it should just be enough. See if I can fit this little build over here. I can do it in one dissolution chamber. With a press. And a furnace. Like this. And that. And that. Can we overclock this? And this? And this? I don't think we need to overclock this. Upgrade that. That gets our 120, 120. And then we just need our liquid chloride, which is also here. But we do need another one of these, unfortunately. Otherwise, we don't have enough output ports to do this. Like that. And we'll get the purple to output liquid chloride. That gets our 120. Now, that 120 needs to go back into here. And I really need this stuff to be working. Because if this doesn't work, then all of this is screwed. So that gets my 120 of that. It needs to mix with the diamond over here. Or the crystallized diamond core. 120 plus 60 into a welder. So I've got my diamond over here. We can furnace it separately. Because we need 60 per minute here. And then that needs to go into a welder with the output of a quantum teleporter. I'm just going to put another one over here because it's getting a little bit crazy. I can put it right here. Then this can go into a welder. And the yellow output can be the pulse energy matrix. No, sorry, the aluminum coating. That gets our 60 that we need. So that's done. And we just have to make one last thing. So we need to put it into a manufacturer. The tuned quantum processor is here. The quantum relay thing is here. And the pulse energy matrix is in here. So if we get the green output to output pulse energy matrix, two of our things are here and one of them's there. It needs to go into a manufacturer. So let's just put it here, 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 and here. Get that going in there, and that gets our 60 per minute of this, and we've got our 60 per minute of the lattice encoded thing, and we've got our void ray focusing glass somewhere. I believe we've made everything. Let's just mix it with this lattice encoded matrix first, which I don't even know where that's being made anymore. What is this thing making, and why is it empty? I'm so confused. Give me a second. Something's broken over here. This thing's not getting anything. This thing's not getting what it needs, because this thing's not getting what it needs. Didn't this just need aluminum? Left output is copper. What happened to my copper? Yeah, this lift is not working. 120 copper is being filtered here. It's just that input wasn't working properly. There we go. Now that's working, that's working, that's all working. So our void ray thing is over here. This stuff is still not working, because this thing is no longer getting whatever's outputted over here, which is structural cables. But the structural cables are here. The green is filtering out structural cables, but structural cables is not going into here. Why? Let me just redo this belt. It's like this belt is like wrong. There we go. Now that's all fixed. That's getting that out. Now we've got this thing. So that's the 60 per minute we need. It needs to go into a welder. And the welder needs the other portion of this thing, which is this. Can I move this over somewhere else? That would involve belting both of this nonsense around the other side. So I'm just gonna put the thing over here for now, like that, and then we're just gonna get this going at height. We need a match to that lift over there, something like that. Get that going in, get that going into here. That makes our 30 per minute, but we need 60, so we're gonna overclock that to 60. It has no issue with that. And then that and this purple thing at 120 needs to just be put into an advanced cutter. I'm gonna put my advanced cutter here, because the ultimate output of the thing needs to go into that. The yellow needs to be an input. So I'm just gonna lift this however makes sense. So we'll lift it here, lift it there, get that going in there. We'll need another lift over here, like that. We'll have to lift this over, except this might need to be a little bit higher because we need to clear the last lift. So we'll go up one more, like that, and then we'll just get that and that linked, and that gets our 60 per minute into the quantum thingy-majig, and then off to the other side of the world we go. The final output is over here. We haven't even used this or this. Now this thing looks pretty full, so I'm just going to copy one over here and just output it for now. So the green port is an output, and we want to output the final quantum lens core, like that. Theoretically, that should be working. We'll have to run it and find out. Some of the stuff might be uneven, so we might need some things on our filter. For example, some things might get jammed. So that's going. See how this isn't consistent? But it is going. It is eventually making this. We are making lens cores. We're just doing it very, very slowly. We're nowhere near the time that we need. But we have done it. We just haven't completed it in the time constraint or the power constraint. But we can fix a lot of that stuff by troubleshooting now. So to solve for this problem, we need to put some storage on here. We're just going to by default put 50. Now we'll run it and we'll see. So now that's running smoothly. That's running smoothly. The next source I can see that gets blocked is this. So I'm gonna get this. And we'll put some storage on there as well. Like say 48 as well. And now when we run it, that runs smoothly. The wood takes ages to arrive, but that's fine. We've got power, we can make things run faster. And that goes through here, that's going now. So this thing is going, which means this thing will now get started. With this thing started, it's gonna go all the way over here. This thing is not started yet. So we're gonna troubleshoot this thing. This thing's storage is full because this thing's not running. Why is this thing not running? That's all jammed up because of this and that. Okay, so this storage just needs to be higher. Let's just put it on 99. Let's see if this becomes an issue. So that starts running, but we're waiting for this thing. And when this thing gets going, this will start going before this. Oh, this is getting very close to 99. Yeah, this gets stuck indefinitely. Why does that get stuck? Because of this thing over here. I get this is storing stuff, but why isn't it pushing the other thing? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, the output filter disappeared. What? Alright, let's try again with the output filter. That's better. Now it is going to hit its storage limit, I think. Nope, it's going. Here comes this thing, and now that will get everything going, hopefully. So this is all going well, and then it gets jammed. Kind of. Well, a couple of storages already made it much faster. We're still not good. Now I think we're just troubleshooting belt speed. So I'm going to just start upgrading belts randomly until I run out of power. So this belt can get things kicked off a lot faster. So there comes this. Here comes this. I want to upgrade this one as well. Now what's slowing down this one? We got that. And then they kind of kick off at the same time, which is fine. Which kicks this off, which kicks this off. That gets that going. And then all of this stuff starts going. It's a little bit faster, 235. But ultimately, this stuff is slow because this bit is slow, and that's because the wood's taking ages to get to here. Everything else is waiting for the wood. Let's go to this side of the map then, and let's make the wood a little bit faster. That is output limited, right? Yep. Now with the wood a little bit faster, hopefully that'll come out sooner, which will get this going sooner, which gets this going sooner, which pretty much gets everything going sooner. But yeah, we're still well out. We're going to need to refactor this whole map to get this done in the time. That only increased it a little bit. The reason why I think we need to refactor it is all of these belts, basically. We need to basically find better places to do everything. And I feel like the best way to do this would be to essentially work backwards and just put quantum teleporters everywhere. Because we can save on all of these belts, right? Like say I remove one of these belts. That's like hundreds and hundreds of things worth, right? So maybe that's the way to go. We might need to put more quantum transporters in more sort of logical places to shorten the belts as much as possible. Like for example, this belt over here, instead of going into the belt, could go into the quantum transporter, and then it can come out of a quantum transporter. This one is highly overtaxed though, but it should work. Oh man, that's going to be so complex. We're going to need storage things everywhere. So here's the refactor all done. As you can see, we've removed all of the long belts that stretch across the map. Because we had a lot of power, we can just add quantum teleporters everywhere. I added like 3 here. It's probably unnecessary, but we had the power, so why not? Over on the other side of the map, we also did some refactoring. The long belt that was running this sapphire across the map is now gone. So we've just put it into a quantum teleporter. We've split up the wood because the wood needed to be teleported. We've got this going as well. So we've basically split up everything. We've added a new quantum teleporter here to make one of our final products. Then all of our stuff is just being sent back into the same quantum teleporter and back out wherever it needs to go. So with all of those optimizations, we can now run. And we can see that this is going to be a lot faster. All this is already coming out like pretty much immediately. It runs over across here. This starts producing straight away, and this is already starting to produce. And it's getting quantum teleported all the way back over to the other side onto this cliff face and exported. And with that, we got our 5 stars, and we are number 2 in time. We are number 2 in power and number 1 in space, apparently. But there's only 3 people on the leaderboard, so it's not much of an achievement. Let's see what other people are doing. Why does everyone's solution always look far cleaner than mine? And what is this guy doing up the very top? Like, he's doing his final assembly up the top. I think he's using a slightly different recipe to me. Apparently, because he's only using one of the uranium nodes over here. But we've got our 5 stars and we're happy with our solution, so we can move on.